Hello, people. How's it going? Question. How does one make history not boring to teach? Look, when I write my history stuff, it flows. It flows just fine. I can do a lot of research. It flows. When I write stuff down, it's better than when I talk. But how do I make this interesting? See, this is one of those problems I'm having because I know that I'm not a great speaker. I'm just not a very good speaker. I don't have the inflections that are required to speak as if I'm standing in front of an audience. Maybe if I were actually standing in front of an audience, I would. But how do you not make it boring? I mean, I admire Mr. Cyrus, who taught me to love history, because he made it seem effortlessly. I've also had some history teachers who were as boring as hell, but that's a different story. I've also had some very good ones. Mr. I'll remember his name. He was at Century College when I was there. Bruggeman. Yeah, Professor Bruggeman. I liked him. But anyway, I'm trying to not bore people, and I'm pretty sure that I do. I am sorry. I'm trying very hard to make something I love very much. I love history. I like writing about history. I even like talking about history. But for some reason, when I get on this silly YouTube thing, my brain decides this one to shut off. And I do think that's psychological. I do think that's more in my head than actual facts, because I could probably figure out a way to make this interesting. History is interesting. People are interesting. They're a pain sometimes, but they're interesting. But anyway. See, I like to talk about the past. I like to talk about ancient cultures, about ancient people and present day people and events and why things happened and why they didn't happen and the people behind it and the psychology of history. The psychology of history is fascinating. I mean, why was a certain German dictator in the 1930s and 40s the madman that he was, Adolf Hitler? He existed, people. He existed in history. If you're offended, I can't help you. Well, I'm not going to help you. But anyway, why did he rise to power? Why did he really rise to power? Why was he the way he was? Those are the things about history I want to get across. And I know I'm doing it now, but it's like my frustrations. I don't want to do it in a frustrated manner, and I think that's part of the problem. I get frustrated with myself, and then all of a sudden I become, the greatest orator who ever lived. I'm sure you do. Sure you do, David. Sure you do. Anyway, I like history. I'd like to know why Nazi Germany became Nazi Germany. I'd like to know why Benito Mussolini rose to power. I'd like to know why the Japanese, who were very cultured people, became an imperialistic juggernaut of not only war, but butchery. I mean, the Second World War is fascinating to me. I probably should just stick to one particular aspect of world history and just go from there. My brain doesn't work that way. It should, but it doesn't work that way. I mean, I thought about doing a rundown of historical events in October, and there are a lot, and some are minor little things like the birth of people, or a minor little event that occurred, like Chamberlain saying we have peace in our time, and saying, "Oh, Hitler will give you Sudetenland. You won't do anything else. You're a dictator. We can trust you." Oh, moron. Oh, I heard a car. And I wish I could convey better. I love the psychology of history. I like to know why the American Civil War was what it was, why the English Civil War what it was. Why did King Charles I think that he just... I know why. Because he was brought up to be this way. King Charles II literally really did believe in divine right of kings, to the point of absurdity. I mean, he didn't deserve to have his head chopped off. Exiled, yes. But I don't think he should have had his head removed. That's going a little too far. I mean, why did we have the Roman Empire? or the Greek Empire, or even the Persian Empire. I mean, what is it that's so fascinating about the Renaissance or the Middle Ages or what they call the Dark Ages, which really wasn't as dark as they like to portray? In Western Europe, it was pretty dark for the most part. In Eastern Europe, it wasn't so bad. We had the Byzantium Empire doing just fine, which was once the Roman Empire, or the eastern half of the Roman Empire. I'm trying to convey that why I like history so much, and I really think I'm failing miserably. I watch a lot of YouTube channels trying to figure out why they're successful and why I'm not. Personality-wise, yeah, I probably don't have that personality. I'm not a smiley kind of person. I'm not a fun-loving kind of guy. I'm just not. I take things seriously. I take history seriously. I try to have fun with history. I try to have fun with certain events. I mean, I really am trying to make this part of my channel work. It's not. In fact, it's failing. Failing miserably. Well, I think it's failing miserably. I mean, I keep wanting people to give me, advice or suggestions or something. I get nothing, people. I mean, if those are people who are watching this, have any recommendations or suggestions or anything, I won't bite your head off, I promise. I will listen. I always listen. Or maybe it's the flag that's behind me, who knows. I do have an American flag over there, I just don't have a small one over there. I will get one eventually. If that's turning people off, I'm sorry. But I can't find an American flag small enough for that little spot. I mean, yes, it says Happy Hanukkah. Yeah, I know it's not even near Hanukkah. I know it's still the Feast of Tabernacles right now. I like history. I've always liked history. I've always known my weaknesses is talking to people about history. Because I always run into people who are a lot more smarter than I am, which is good, and have a better memory of things than I do. I have a general knowledge of a lot of things I've read because I read so much. I'm lucky I remember anything. And yet I remember enough, I suppose. I mean, I want to get across that history is fascinating. And I grant you, in this day and age, teaching history is almost a crime. They don't teach history anymore anyway. They teach the SJW nonsense. Root beer and tea do not go together. I mean, the modern school system, I'm going to get slightly political here, is crap. The modern school system is not about teaching anybody anything. It's about teaching people to be social justice warriors and to whine and complain and to rewrite history. Rewriting history is not going to solve the problem. Learning from history will solve the problem if we just learn from it. I mean, I want to know why. The 5 W's, as I've always called them about history, is why did it happen? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Who was it? Why was it? And everything else. I'm sure I'm missing one. I'm going to keep trying. Believe me, I'm going to keep boring people until I get this right. I mean, I'm almost up to 200 videos, and I'm still convinced that I really, really should just stop doing this, but I can't. I created this channel. I'm going to go down with this channel. I mean, I wish people would comment. I would like to hear other people's opinions. I would like to hear other people's... Keep hearing... Must be the neighbors. I'm trying to do this without people being here so they don't interrupt me in my rants, in my ramblings. I got dinosaurs up there. I do. It's a dinosaurus. I'd show it to you, but you'd be jealous. See, this is the kind of person I am. I collect these things. It's a stick. It's a stegosaurus. Woo! I don't think it makes any noises. Does it? Yes, I know. I'm interrupting myself. It's my video. I can do what I want. It is cool, though. I do have a lot of dinosaur models around here. I collect them. I like them. I'm a dino nut. I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. I like collecting crap. But, Oh, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is I wish people may see this, even if it's just saying, it's okay. It could be better. Of course it can be better. The moment I start thinking this YouTube channel of mine is good, there's a problem. Very few people who I will believe when they tell me it's good am I going to believe them, because at least they're honest with me. But, I'm trying to make this interesting. I'm trying to figure out a way, some sort of formula, some sort of pattern that I'm not just copying other people per se, but at least doing my own way of talking about history. I got to figure out a way to do this. If I can write history and I write it just fine, I should be able to talk it. I should be able to teach it so it's interesting. I know that I'm boring. Well, I'm boring when I'm here. When I'm not on YouTube, I'm not boring. Just ask some of the people I know. This gut needs to be cleaned badly. It's disgusting. But anyway, see, I like. Well, I keep saying it, but I do. I'm fascinated with the psychology of things. I always have been. That's why I like writing my stories, and I like writing my commentaries and my 15 or 10-minute studies or anything else I do, because it fascinates me. People fascinate me as much as the human race is screwed up. It's still fascinating. Or it can create an Adolf Hitler. It can create a Mozart, the second greatest composer who ever lived. The first is Beethoven. And anyone who argues with me, I will delete you. Beethoven is the greatest composer who ever lived. I don't want to hear it. I mean, think about that. This is the same country that gave us one of the worst dictators on the planet and gave us possibly one of the greatest classical music composers ever. How does that happen in history? How does that happen in a culture? How does that happen to anything? That's why it's fascinating. I mean, I'm trying to think real well. Lady Jane Grey, okay? I would like to have known what it would have been like if she had made it as queen beyond 9 days. That's fascinating. But she literally was a pawn in a political game. I mean, she didn't want to be Queen of England. She wasn't going to last. Not with Mary Queen, not Mary Queen of Scots. The other Mary, Henry VIII's daughter. I mean, she is a fascinating character too. She was a staunch Catholic, but it's fascinating. Why? Why did she want to marry? And why did she marry King Philip of Spain? Why did Queen Elizabeth have such a long reign? Why was she so popular? Why are some lives more interesting than others? And so on and so forth. That's history. That's what I'm trying to get across. Or at least I'm trying to. I'm trying to figure out a formula that works. I mean, I could write it down, a complete thing down and just read it, but to me that's cheating. The YouTube channel should be something of, spontaneity, off the top of your head, talking. I don't want to just sit there reading something. I could do that. It'd be boring, but I could do it. I mean, there's several of my things I've written I could probably just sit here and read. It'd be a lot more interesting listening to me babble. I mean, I should be able to make World War II interesting, or aspects of it. I should be able to. Let me think. Let me see. I should be able to talk about him and make it interesting. Hans Christian Andersen. Interesting guy. A little weird. A little interesting guy. That is my reading at the moment table. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 19, 20. There's 25 books, so sorry. 28 books. There's 28 books on that table. It's a small table, but there's still 28 books on that table that I'm reading at one time. I can't read more than one book at one time. I have to read more than one. I get bored. And I like being that eclectic. It takes a while, but But that's my point. I should be able to explain these things better than I'm explaining them. But I'm serious about this. I really wish people would at least leave a comment, even if it's a comment like "You suck." Okay, I'll work with that. I don't really care as long as you comment, and I will think about it. That's what I do. That's what I'm asking. I mean, There are some far better History Channel YouTube channels out there, and I know there is. I watch them all the time, and they are good. Now, I grant you, probably if I did video things, it might be a little more beneficial. But I don't have that kind of setup, and I don't think I can do it on this computer. What I should do is make a practice one, see if I can do it. See, I'm at over 15 minutes. I'm done rambling. This is basically just to call people to just let me know when you are watching this. Let me know what you think. Would make it better, or maybe give me some direction, or something. I will listen. I really do. I just come across as someone who doesn't listen, only to people who have never actually done any of this. If you haven't done any of this, well, okay, I'll listen, but not as important as people who do. I'm weird that way. All right, well, behave yourselves, people, because I do not know how to. I never will. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Behave yourselves. I may make another one of these later today. Not on this subject, but something else. Later. Later.